This past year, I have struggled to find the time to read to my kids. And reading aloud books to kids have so many benefits, especially in upper elementary. So in this video, I'm gonna go ahead and talk about how I'm finding the time to read aloud to my kids this year and a couple of books that I will be sharing with them in the month. I'm Vanessa, a fourth grade teacher, and I'm here to bring you along in my teaching journey, teaching fourth. Reading aloud to kids have so many benefits. The main three things that I want to read more books, that's actually a goal of mine for this year, is because I have a lot of kids who English is their second language. So this is a great way to expose them to the language. The second reason also is my kids, yes, they are in fourth and fifth grade, but they are still learning how to read. So me reading to them is a great way to start modeling how to be a fluent reader. And the third reason why I am sharing and making sure that I am reading aloud to my kids is because I want them to be exposed to different cultures and just to bring in that diversity to the classroom. Here's my plan on how I am going to be reading more books to my kids. So first, I decided that I am going to be doing this every day for 5 to 6 minutes before my literacy block. So before we get into our reading skill and everything that deals with the reading curriculum, I am going to go ahead, bring them to the front of the room, and I'm going to start sharing a book. I'm only going to be using 5 to 6 minutes to do this. I might finish the book or I might not. It doesn't matter because I'm going to be doing this throughout the week. I also have a very big class this year. So the best way for all of them to see what I am reading, I'm gonna be using my camera that projects, it's like a projector, and I am going to be putting the book under the camera and showing them so the book can be projected and then everyone can see it. The other thing is that there is gonna be zero work involved. So we're literally reading just for fun, because a lot of my kids, they have associated reading to something not fun, and a lot of them don't like it. So I'm hoping that reading a book just for fun will spark their interest in reading. Now moving on and how I pick books. So before starting picking books, I try to think of the different holidays and things that are going on around that month. So in the month of January, there are three main things going on: New Year's, winter, and Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So those are three big things that I want to focus on. So those become my categories, and I start looking for books that fit within those themes. January is all about the new year. So I'm going to go ahead and kick off my read out louds with this book, The 7 Gods of Luck. And it's perfect because it's going to show the kids how New Year's is celebrated in Japan. And this is the perfect book to do this. I love to bring different cultures into the classroom. So this is a book that I'm going to be starting off with. And then the second book that I'm going to share with them is called The Power of One. I really love the message that it's going to be sending to the kids. This is all about kindness and how we all have the power and to not only show kindness, but it starts with us. So this is a great message that I would like to bring to my class. Next, my second category is all about snow. So for these books, I have chosen a lot of poetry because we have a poetry unit coming up, and every time I teach poetry, it's just a hot mess, okay? It's just a lot of them, there's so much figurative language and a lot of vocabulary, and a lot of them just get lost in that. So I wanted to expose them to different poems, so by the time we reach that unit, they are more or less familiar with what is poetry. So my favorite winter book for that is The Winter, an Alphabet Acrostic Poem. This book is so cool because it shows them, like, for every letter, there is a poem. And what's fun about it, it's related to winter, but then it's also an acrostic poem. So here it is. It's a short and sweet book, but it's an excellent way to show. Next up, we have Owl Moon. This is a classic, perfect book if you are teaching personal narrative or a description. It is written in a poem format, so that's why I'm sharing it with my kids in the winter. And then the other book, it's a bilingual book. It's also a poem. Again, I have a lot of kids who English is their second language, so I think they'll enjoy hearing a book in Spanish, and then they're also going to be listening to the translation in English. And last, we are going to end the month of January by reading all about the civil rights, and we're going to be focusing on Martin Luther King Jr. because it is his birthday. This is one of the first books that I read, the story of the civil rights. It's more of an introduction for them. It's an easy chapter book to read. It takes me a couple of days to read it, but it just has so much information and so many facts that it leads the way for me to go ahead and bring other picture books that talks about different themes that this book touches. And then specifically for Martin Luther King, I am going to be reading Martin's Big Words. Again, this is an easy read book, but I love the fact that the message that it shares and the quotes that it pulls out, that it just represents what Martin Luther King Jr. was all about. Right, so the last book is I Have a Dream, and this book, it's all about the famous speech that Martin Luther King Jr. gave. What I like to do is I like to share on YouTube with my kids the whole video, we watch it, and then we read this book. And this is just a simplified version of the speech that he gave, but is, again, a great segue to start talking about the civil rights movements and everything that the civil rights movements have been able to accomplish. So wrapping it up, one of my goals is to read more books to my kids. I have shared with you a couple of excellent selections for the month of January. If reading out loud more to your kids is a goal as well in the classroom, please let me know in the comments below.